So I'd now like to open our panel with a distinguished list of experts. This is a panel on the road to making the EU the leading innovation-friendly regulatory system for medical devices, IVDs, and digital health technologies. So we have Mariana Madureira, who is active on the New Technologies Group at the level of the Medical Device Coordination Group, who will provide a member state perspective on how regulation is advancing to support the framework for novel emerging technologies. We also welcome Petra Zollner, who is well known to all of you, I'm sure, and who made herself known earlier for her contribution to earlier discussions. Thank you for that, Petra. And she is Director of Regulatory Affairs at MedTech Europe. We have the pleasure to welcome Christina Beskos, Chief Growth Officer at EIT. And finally, Hugh Laverty to provide the perspective of the Innovative Health Initiative, to which Katarina was just referring earlier, on how regulatory science can play a key role in advancing the EU's regulatory environment. So, could you please all come forward and take a seat? Yeah.
Just for the order for the presentations. So
okay.
And it's Natalie who is here instead of you.
Sorry?
So it's Natalie?
Yes.
Amanda, do you want us to sit in any order?
Yeah. Well, I just got an order of presentation.
Oh, okay.
So otherwise, feel free to where you'd like to be.
Okay. Why am I in the middle?
Or in the left middle.
Yes, it's Natalie, got you. Okay,
Yes.
So Natalie and not
That's
you.
okay.
Right, lovely. So to kick off, please could you each briefly introduce your organisation and your views on how things can be taken forward to move towards a regulatory-friendly environment. Also, how are your roles relevant to the key topic of supporting innovation in the EU for SMEs and startups? And what's your view on how things are likely to move forward? So you have 5 to 7 minutes each and a timer. So Petra, would you like to go first, please?
Okay, sure. Thank you very much, Amanda, and thanks also for having me on this panel discussion. So I represent MedTech Europe, which is the EU trade association for manufacturers making medical devices, diagnostics, and digital health. We have 145 direct companies as members. They tend to be larger multinational companies, and we also have a network of 50 national associations present in almost every European country, and they tend to have also SMEs as part of their membership, so we collaborate very closely in that area. Before I say anything else, I think I'd like to say something about innovation, because we are the panel looking at whether and how to make the medical devices and IVD regulations more fit for purpose for innovation and also for SMEs. So what do we mean by innovation? I think it's a good place to start, no? And what I think we should mean by innovation are two areas for MedTech. One is thinking about first-in-class products, and the other area is thinking about best-in-class products. So what do I mean by that? I think to simplify matters a little bit, first-in-class products refer to those first of their kind or breakthrough or disruptive devices that are meeting an unmet need. For the first time, it could be a large unmet need, it could be a very specific, smaller unmet need, but those are the first-in-class kind of products. And then once technology or a product is established in clinical use, then you start to get to your best-in-class products, right? Because the medtech industry constantly innovates to make improvements to our devices and products. And so I think there we have constant improvements to, for example, the accessibility of the product, where it's used, is it used in a hospital, maybe transforming that to be used in community care practice, so the mobility aspect. If we look at other features on improving performance or safety or the environmental side, there are so many areas where we're constantly innovating to improve devices. And so I think there it's necessary to talk not only about the new first-in-class devices, but also the best-in-class types of innovations that we constantly do. So to answer the next part of your question, Amanda, I work in regulatory affairs, so I'm responsible for implementation of the IVD regulation on the diagnostic side and the medical device regulations as well. And so as such, I'm following the situation for the entire European industry. I think it's very relevant that this panel does focus on SMEs and startups. Today, we see the situation that we have large companies, by and large, and also some SMEs, have either fully CE marked under the regulations or are well on their way to doing so. At the same time, we see significant challenges persist, both pre-market, getting your certification, and also post-market. Once you've CE marked, the challenges are not over. And when we look at the wider sector, I can see that we see that devices struggle to stay on the market or to reach Europe. We also see that a lot of SMEs are encountering existential questions or challenges to their business models under or faced with the requirements of the two regulations. So from that perspective, I think it's very relevant to look at the wider sector. And today, things are not moving in the right direction. I mean, we've seen heavy investment from the industry, and many devices remain on the market. At the same time, we also see that up to 1 in 3 devices might be discontinued from use. We also see that clinicians have been saying that 1 in 2 of them have experienced shortages with devices since the medical devices regulation was born. And we see that manufacturers who are saying that they will discontinue devices are saying that, well, 1 in 5 out of their devices, they don't see that there's an equivalent alternative on the market. And then last but not least, we see that around 1 in 3 companies are saying, well, we're going to move outside of Europe. If we have the opportunity to choose where to launch, we're going to go outside of Europe first. So quite a set of data and challenges there for devices to stay in Europe and also to come to Europe. So back to the presentation just given by Katerina Ghazi from the European Commission. I think, as MedTech Europe and the European industry, we strongly welcome the targeted evaluation that the European Commission is undertaking to look into the two regulations and check where are the issues, if they're meeting their objectives, and potential for simplification. At the same time, we do expect the targeted evaluation, which lasts until the end of 2025, and any kind of legislative initiatives will take some time to arrive and to benefit patients and also to support the competitiveness of our industry. So while we wait for a more detailed package of legislation to improve our regulations, there's a real need to identify what we need to do urgently in the short term to ensure that we have devices staying in Europe, devices are arriving, and that also we ensure the viability and competitiveness of our industry. Because at the moment, I think it's fair to say that these trends continue. If they do continue without a pause, then we may have an irreversible hit for our healthcare systems and for our industry. And I think that needs to be addressed and looked at as a matter of urgency. We do have some thoughts on what is needed, and I'd be happy to share them, but I think I'm out of time, and I'm sure we have other questions on the panel. Happy to share and leave you with a cliffhanger.
Thank you. Yes, some pretty scary figures there. Yes, it really concentrates your thoughts, doesn't it? So, next one to speak, please, Christina from EIT. Thank you. I'm enjoying this so much. I got carried away and forgot. Yes, I was just saying those are pretty scary figures that Petra has been talking about there, and they really concentrate the mind. Yes, about how the future should evolve. So, Christina from EIT, please, next.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I'll try to be fast with the slides, not as fast as it was in 1 minute ago, but probably in 5 minutes we're done. I wanted to at least dedicate 3 minutes of the presentation to show you who we are as EIT and EIT Health, because we are an interesting animal, but also probably a strange animal in the community, and I think you should know a bit of who we are again. So, all the KICs, or the EIT, the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, it's a body of the commission part of the Horizon program, also on the third pillar, and the aim is to promote innovation in different sectors by creating innovation knowledge and innovation communities, what's called KICs, on specific areas where Europe has challenges. So there are KICs around industry, digital, climate, mobility, and so on. So the one for health was built in 2015. We started really operations in 2016. And with the M, I mean, as you see, the triple M, we are always thinking about the resilience, sustainability of the healthcare systems, the competitiveness of Europe, and at the same time, the health of the European citizens. So at the moment, we are a multi-stakeholder community that meets more than 140 partners, and what is unique of our community is two things. One is a value proposition, so we don't cover just industry sector or a type of a stakeholder. It's really the whole value chain, so it's an interesting community, as it has been discussed this morning, the importance of building that ecosystem network. And in the same line, the proposition is this global, so we have a central unit based in Munich, for health, but we also have what we call the co-location centers, or individual hubs in 8 countries in Europe, and also an InnoStars hub, which covers all the Eastern Europe and moderate innovation index countries. So we can cover, this is our local footprint that I think is also very interesting for the innovation promotion. So in order to scale, you need to have this local part, but also the European arm. And how do we work is what we call this knowledge triangle, or innovation triangle. We always put together the research, business, and education. We don't do sectorial projects, but community activities, and that covers all areas from, as I say, public affairs to innovation and business creation, education, and talent management. So what we cover, it's a whole spectrum of innovation, and today, I mean, we are talking about regulatory specifically. We have different programs to support the regulatory pathway, but I think our role is more essential, to say, in the post-C certification in general, in the access to market. But we do have certain education programs and boot camps also around this area. I wanted to explain you specifically what we are dedicating on our focus in these years and the next to come, which are these 3 areas. One of them is about new models to deliver healthcare, and I wanted to complement your comment about what is innovation. Innovation is not only products, there is also a lot to do about service and business innovation, and this is this area of new models to deliver healthcare. So we want to really foster prevention and value-based healthcare. Then we need to think how this is implemented in this part of innovation adoption and in the healthcare systems. The second part is digital transformation of healthcare. I think that is self-explanatory. And the third topic that we are addressing is the reindustrialization of Europe. So trying to bring, again, back the key manufacturing capacity in Europe. I will give 1 minute to show you 2 calls that we have at the moment open that can be interesting for the community. One is going to close in November that is related to specifically innovation to market products. So we are looking at almost CE mark products or CE mark products, how to help the introduction of those solutions to the market. And you can see the conditions there. The second type of products is specifically for the entering into the fast track of medical devices. So in the countries where there's this capacity of fast reimbursements of digital applications or MedTech applications, to ensure certain support before going into these fast track payments. So you can see also the call conditions, and these are short projects that will land next year. On the part of reindustrialization of Europe, we also have an open call that will close very soon, but it's interesting because it's a support for the IHI in Europe. I don't know how familiar you are to this terminology. It's the important project of common European interest. There are 14 projects selected under the Med4Cure proposal, which is a 14 really big European and member states collaboration for industrial competitiveness of Europe. So what we are doing from EIT Health is complementing those projects that are mainly focused on industry and big industry, is to complement that with the collaboration of academic partners, so university, research centers, hospitals, and SMEs. So these are the conditions, again, of that one. So that is the part of the presentation of EIT Health. What I wanted to say with regards to regulatory, and again, I'm a bit out of the scope, so I'm not the expert in super regulatory, but I think it's our role as EIT Health is always in helping the innovators in their pathway, and that is not only providing certain services, but also providing financing, if possible, public one, but also we have a branch that is related to investment that can also support in this long way towards a market.
Thank you very much, Christine. There are some fascinating initiatives going on there. So we're going to turn to IHI now, and not Hugh Laverty, but rather Nathalie Seigneuret. Looking forward to hearing from you, Nathalie.
Thank you very much, and it's really a pleasure for us to be here. For those of you who don't know, the Innovative Health Initiative is a public-private partnership, as was alluded before. And it's a partnership between the European Commission and the European health industry, representing the pharma, so EFPR Vaccines Europe, the association being as well Europa Bio, so representing the biotechnology companies. But we have also MedTech Europe, representing the medical device, and we have also COSIR, representing the medical technologies and imaging. So through this partnership, we are here to support pre-competitive research. And we are here to build really consortia and bringing together the different actors that are really needed in order to progress and to deliver or translate the science into really innovation that can lead to benefit to patients, but society as well at large, but as well to contribute to the competitiveness of European industry. So by bringing together all the skills and the expertise from the different actors, and we really want to make sure that in our project we can have across the different stakeholders that are needed to address one of the specific, let's say, objective, that we can really work together to deliver on these objectives. We have ambitious objectives per se. So as I said, it's really to deliver innovation that can really help the ecosystem, bring safe, effective innovation for the benefit of patients. And we cover from the whole spectrum, from prevention, treatment, diagnostics, management of disease, and management implementation in healthcare. So we really address the whole spectrum. And as I said, we contribute to the competitiveness of industry in Europe. So we have a strategic research agenda, and on this basis that we launch our call. And we have several types of calls, being either single-stage call, being a broad objective that we want to achieve, and two-stage call, where we have the industry already agreeing where they want to put their resources and commitment, and define where we are going to launch calls. Now, under IHI, we are already at midterm nearly, so we still have 3 years to go. We start having last year our first project that have been launched. We had the call before, but the project starting. So in terms of result, I cannot give you yet result of IHI project because they are still in the early stage. But I think it's important to see that we can really help in regulatory aspects in several instances. For instance, we know that if someone is developing a biomarker, but no one will be, or regulators don't like your biomarker, it's not going to be used. So again, we really encourage all the consortium working to think already from the start, what do you want to do, and think of all these regulatory aspects that are very important if we want to ensure that innovation is translated into the system. But then we hope as well to have more possibilities to drive regulatory science. And we believe that we have an opportunity, being a neutral platform, to bring together all the stakeholders to really work and test and pilot and really help. Of course, we are not developing policies. That's for the European Commission. But we can then generate the evidence that can help to drive these policies, or bring some recommendation or testing that could help to advance or things for different perspective. And the mention before of the project EIT Health in early feasibility studies, this is exactly that was really felt by the companies that we are losing it, because in the US and over there are some environment to do these studies, and even if it's not forbidden to do them in Europe, we lack the ecosystem to favor this kind of studies, these early feasibility studies. And this is how we started this project, in order to make sure that we can have a favorable framework that can help all of you in order to do these studies. If I still have a minute, I would just add something. Because IHI is born, or at least is building on IMI, which was the Innovative Medicine Initiative, so focusing on more the pharma. From the start, we had a lot of thought of interacting and engaging with regulators. So of course, moving to IHI, we felt that it's still very important to have engagement with regulators. Now, of course, it's a bit more complex, because, of course, it's not one regulator. Now, we used to have a very easy interaction with EMA. Now, it's a little bit broader. But we feel that it's very important, because we need to think from the needs of everybody to make sure that, again, what we are investing for is going to be useful for everybody. So this year, we did the first time under IHI scope, an IHI Regulatory Science Summit. So it was a bit of a test in order to bring around the table regulators coming from pharma, but as well coming from the device field. So we had representative from the Medical Device Coordination Group, we had representative from CAMD, we had notified bodies, but we had as well HTA, because I think what was mentioned before, it's important. We need always to put in the loop the downstream players as well. And during this discussion, and we brought as well the MHRA, and we brought, since we know that development can be global, FDA, together, talking with our European Commission colleagues, but as well with our industry members. And during this meeting, it was really to try to find out first, what could we do that could help to drive this innovation and to see maybe some convergence or some leverage between the pharma and the medical device, because I think there is a lot of things that we can learn, or maybe a solution that can help all the sectors together. So it was first, we had discussion on several topics, which was the pediatric, rare disease, real-world data, because everybody is on real-world data, real-world evidence, artificial intelligence, and regulatory sandbox. And actually, one of this topic on regulatory sandbox, that's what led to a call that we launched that is closing very soon on how we can model the regulatory sandbox. And it was mentioned because it's not only on the proposal for the pharma legislation, but as well on the AI Act, but how we're going to operate this regulatory sandbox. So this is a call and a direct feedback on this discussion on how we can progress all together on this thing. So I will stop here, but we have plenty of things to say.
Thank you. Yes, it's been very fascinating watching the work that's coming out from IHI and trying to keep up with it as well. You must be very busy.
Yes.
So last but not least, we have Mariana, who is, works at the New Technology, or contributes to the New Technology Group at the Medical Device Coordination Group.
It's the green, yeah.
The green one in the middle. Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon, and thank you very much for the introduction. And I'm really, it's really a pleasure for me to participate today in this panel discussion, not only as a regulator, but and in particular as a co-chair of new emerging technology. And so I'm here today to speak a little about this new technology working group. Thank you very much for the invitation. This is really, this is in fact one of the 13 subgroups of MDCG. The Nada Al-Kayat is from the European Commission. DG Sante is the chair of the group, and so the other co-chair is from the Netherlands, Robert Kirtsman from RIVM. So the best way of introduction the group is through the terms of reference. So, and just to briefly say that the main tasks are to provide assistance to MDCG on issues related to the application of new emerging technologies to medical device, this including software, apps, cybersecurity. So in particular, the group analyzes the adequacy of the existing regulatory framework in relation to those issues and technologies, and where some challenges are identified, it provides recommendation to MDCG. One of the very relevant task is to the group continuously perform screening of the available source for identification of novel and emerging technologies. So this is related to also to the horizon scanning that Katerina has already mentioned before. Another aspect is related to the electronic instructions for use. So we have the elaborate proposal on that matters, and also, of course, we have to contribute to development of guidance and common specification in the field. And it's not here written, but and work closely with the IEMDRF, which is very relevant for new technologies, which is the International Regulators Forum. Just to mention, and most of you already know, that we have published some guidance in relation to medical device software, for the qualification and the classification of software, and also for helping to determine the appropriate level of evidence for medical software, so on clinical evaluation, performance evaluation of IVDR. And the last one is really very important for cases on the medical software is intended to work in combination with hardware or hardware components such as cameras or sensors. So I guess those are very helpful tools for developers of software in the sector of medical device. Currently, the topics we have as most priority are and already referred, are the interplay between AI Act and MDR and IVDR, and we have done some preliminary work on that before, but now with the publication of the regulation of AI, this has to be taken forward, so a lot of work. We have also one guidance that is on a final stage related to the legal status of app providers. And this is benefiting from the interplay between MDR, IVDR with another piece of legislation, Digital Service Act. There is also foreseen a target revision of the guidance on qualification classification of software by integrating some examples of medical device software intended to treat, so are missing this information, so we like to clarify. And also examples on related to electronic health records, and to have some clarifications on that. There are, in the scope of electronic instructions for use, we have a survey that are running until 11th of October. This survey is for healthcare professionals, and the question we would like to know how they ideas about the expanding of the scope of the electronic instructions for use regulation in relation to the professional, I mean, to include all the professional use medical device. And one of the tools that is very relevant for the work of new emerging technologies, the Horizon scanning system that Katerina has already referred. So we are looking for it, and we'll follow the call, the outcome of the call for tender that is to be open, I guess, on the 1st of October. I refer to the international work, and that what are we following on IMDRF, so the topics that are related with software as medical device, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and the personalized medical device. So they are working groups of IMDRF, and we are contributing not only as a working group because we can participate in the consultation of some of the guidances, but also some of us are directly participating as part of the EU delegation. So having the opportunity to influence the discussion at international level. So additional activities that we have, well, nanomaterials is something that we have to look also for the new, for Commission recommendation on new definition for nanomaterials, so it's an horizontal legislation. So we have to analyze the impact on that in what we have on our regulation. And we also have a new item that that we hope to contribute in supporting innovation. So to explore, to analyze and explore the approaches that other regulatory jurisdictions are practicing in terms of specialized regulatory pathways for innovative medical device. So I guess I stop here. Thank you very much. That's why we are, in that way, that we are contributing to the discussion and the innovation. And of course, I guess the group has, you can have an opportunity also to engage with the group, as also mentioned by Katerina. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mariana. A big thank you to all of the panel for explaining what they're doing, what their thoughts are. It's very interesting to hear how much work's going on at the MDCG, not only in keeping abreast of all the new developments that are coming through, but of course you're doing the revisions now as well. And particularly interesting to hear about the revision of the document on the qualification and classification of software, and also your document you're working on and the legal status of app providers. I think there's been a lot of discussion in those areas. So my question, this is an open question to all of you. So basically we're doing panel questions now. I will ask the panel several questions, and then I'll open the floor, it up to the floor for you to contribute questions. So if anybody's online and they want to contribute the questions, could we please have the symbol up again? Sorry, I've forgotten what they're called. Aha, there we are. Thank you very much. So yes, if you'd like to send in your questions via that would be great. Okay, so my first question is, how are you seeking to contribute and work together to move things forward? What overlaps and potential overlaps do you see between yourselves? Who would like to start?
I can start if you want.
Yes,
I think, there's lessons learned from the past in Europe is there were many initiatives that were very interesting but not working together. And I think that is clearly a mandate for all the European instruments, programs and so on to create synergies. And just to put examples, we have an MOU with IHI. We are collaborating in preparing this regulatory sandbox program. We have a collaboration with, EIT Health is a member of the TEF Health project. It's also a member of the European Partnership of Personalized Medicine. So we are positioning ourselves as a strategic instrument, but also as an implementation instrument to really bring down all these needs that are in the market and bringing in both sides. So in this specifically area of regulatory, what I think it's very important is what we bring as different to the other bodies that are here and so on. Is this more the innovators mindset, and just to give you an example, so when I discuss with different entrepreneurs, and it's very difficult in a technological mindset to understand that the same technology that has certain capacity will have a completely different regulatory pathway because of the intended use. This is not in the engineering mindset, because they said you have that capacity, you follow it, but understanding that the definition of the intended use has to be clear from the beginning in this roadmap towards the market, and changing that, and the difficulties of changing that halfway, it's something that we need to bring. And I always say that I think our role as facilitators in this pathway is always to bring the difficult discussions as soon as possible. So there are our role I think in general is to de-risk this innovation pathway, and we need to make it as soon as possible, these questions about regulatory, these questions about the business models, these questions about validations, and stop thinking about, okay, first technology, second validation, third market, and then regulatory. I think there is a mindset, just to close with your question, that collaboration is needed, that we have different roles at different moments, and that we are complementary, but we need to be aware of what the others are doing so that we can complement. And that's why, I mean, more and more our programs are complementing other programs or supporting an action that somebody else is doing. No?
Petra, yes, you're nodding your head. I was going to say, how much collaboration would you like to see between these different bodies? And obviously it's in the interest of industry to be involved or connected to them all. So what do you see going forward?
Yes, I would absolutely agree. I think collaboration is important. And I know that sounds like a very nice word, right? Let's collaborate, let's communicate. If we look at, for example, the report that came out very recently from Mario Draghi, we see a lot of recommendations there around being more deliberate as Europeans in where we invest our time and our effort. Where should we have cross-European country health areas of health collaboration and investment and really saying, okay, we've got the Genome Project. Can we do the same thing in other areas? Let's make sure that we collaborate, because European countries very often are competing with each other when it comes to healthcare and not necessarily seeing the potential to collaborate more. And so I think having a more deliberate approach to that, not only to horizon scanning, but also thinking, okay, where can we build up now and make sure that we build on all the strengths of Europe, because Europe is attractive for innovation, let's face it. Europe has a lot of strengths. There are some areas that need to be addressed, and I'm very happy to talk about those. But Europe is a truly fantastic market when it comes to innovation, and I think we should remember that and also build on that. And I think having a more collaborative approach is really needed. And I'd welcome anyone here to read the report from Mario Draghi on competitiveness. On IHI, I think also, and speaking now also to SMEs who are in the audience, whether in the room or online, from MedTech Europe's perspective, we're very engaged in the Innovative Health Initiative. It's an important pre-competitive public-private partnership initiative where you can take projects and say, okay, let's pilot out, for example, a regulatory pathway. Let's see what works well. Let's pilot out, or let's see if we can bring new biomarkers to the field and what kind of evidence will be required. So it is a very good vehicle for doing these kinds of investigations. And if you are an SME and you're thinking, how can I engage? MedTech Europe does have Research and Partners membership for SMEs, which we'd be happy to give you more information on in case you want to engage through our association. And then last but not least, with the Medical Devices Coordination Group, I think you have seen from what was presented earlier from Mrs. Katrina Ghazi, the sheer number of initiatives which is going on, and also through the New and Emerging Technologies Working Group, the amount of things that are being worked on to improve the system, to put in more clarity, more infrastructure for the medical technology regulations is considerable. And so I think, as MedTech Europe, we're very engaged in all those discussions. We'd like to see more in certain areas, I think, to address the most urgent issues for the industry in terms of the timelines for conformity assessment. I think those need to be addressed. Because for SMEs, I think we can see the longer it takes to get through conformity assessment, the more unpredictable it is, the more resources you have to put towards following the compliance, towards addressing all of the requirements there. So that if we have shorter, more predictable timelines, I think we'll also be more competitive as a European market, and also able to be a more reliable place for SMEs and also larger companies, of course, because this is relevant for all kinds of sizes of companies. But especially SMEs, I think, struggle with that resource consideration. So that's one area that I would like to call out amongst other areas. But I see time is short, so I'm going to pass the mic over again.
Yes. Mariana, do I suspect that you want to say something? Yes, please go ahead. And then we'll open the questions out to the floor, so if everybody'd like to ready their questions.
Thank you. Just to say that I agree that really collaboration and awareness is something very important, and given all the initiatives and the work that we are working on, and this is something that you can find here in the summit. You can find in the working group as a new emerging technology, where different stakeholders can be involved and can participate. And you can find also. Oh, sorry. You can find also at national level, for instance, we are more and more involved with the academy and projects from this side, and also participating in the U4Health project and IHI project. So we have to engage at these different levels. So even national level, locally, it's also very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mariana.